Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel once again. My name is Derek, and today's video we're going to be looking at how to create pivot tables, and I'll be your instructor throughout this course. And we're going to look at basically the overview of pivot tables, when to use pivot tables, and how to use pivot tables. So what are pivot tables first of all? So pivot tables is a powerful tool to calculate, analyze, summarize your data, slice it, dice it, and all that. So basically, let's go straight into the video and see how we create pivot tables. Yeah, so let's say you've been given a data set like this one, and they tell you we want a report out of this probably like as soon as possible, and you don't have where to begin from. So pivot tables comes in here to help you actually solve these problems. So basically, when you look at it, this data set is disorganized. It has around, I don't know how many rows and columns. Roughly we could tell here it has and so it's really a lot of data that you cannot present in this way. So pivot tables are very powerful tool in analyzing for you, breaking down this data into pieces that can be understandable by your managers and your bosses and your anyone who seeks to have a piece of this report. So how do we create pivot tables? So to create pivot tables, you have to make sure, number one, all your column headers should be filled. If you have an empty column header, pivot tables will not work. So when you look at our data here, we have all the column headers, so meaning our data is okay. So what do we do next? So make sure that your cursor is within your range of the cells with data that you want to analyze, and then you simply go to the ribbon tab, insert. When you click insert, the very first option is pivot table. So like we've said, pivot tables simply summarize and analyze your data to have a more informing or informative report. So this is the first option that we recommend for beginners to use. For the first time you're using pivot tables, I highly recommend use this option right here. Then we have recommended pivot tables. Now, this one you only use it when you're familiar with pivot tables. But right now, if you're beginning for the very first time, we cannot use this because this is like going a step ahead. So we need to go step by step. So make sure your cursor is within your range of data. Then click pivot tables, and then it will give you a range. It will show you the range where it is going to actually it demarcates the range of the cell of your cell. So when you notice closely, you realize the green lines are demarcating your data, and so make sure that all your data is demarcated very well. So in case it is missing out something, then you have to go back and try to organize your data, and then insert the pivot table again. So then it tells you choose where you want the pivot report to be placed. So again, we want in a new sheet, so we just say okay. So we are not changing anything here, we just say okay. So we click okay. So this is how it will look like. So this is your pivot table sheet. Let me call it pivot table sheet for that case. So this is how the pivot table interface looks like, and it's blank. It's blank, of course. What we do next? So right on your right hand side here, there are pivot table fields. So this is where the magic is. Pivot table has 4 fields, and it has the filters field, it has the column field, it has the row fields, and it has the values field. So you need to be familiar with these, and this is where you're going to drag and drop your data elements. So these are our data elements. So when you look at this, it starts with region, country, item. The way they are in order here, the way they are in order in our sheet here is the way pivot table summarizes them. Just right here on your right, you will see the pivot table fields. Now this is where all your headers are, and you simply click on your header, and then it will automatically, Excel has an inbuilt intelligence function where you just click and it will actually try to know where your data field belongs. So for example, when you click region, it will put region under rows automatically. So it's summarizing everything for you. When you look at your data here, you had everything disorganized. Sub-Saharan Africa is after that there is Middle East, after that there is Australia. So everything is organized and it's repeating. So Pivot Table tries to summarize for you those different regions just in one click. That is how amazing it is. So you could also try to click country. Just simply click for now, and you would see it has brought the different countries within those regions. Okay, so just go ahead and click item. So it has brought the items within the countries, but it's still not looking good. To me, it's not looking really good. So what can we do? So pivot tables will help you summarize your data the way you want. So let's just take a look at our data. What may interest us? For example, we may want to know the total revenue per the region. So what do? We go back to our pivot table and we look for the column with total revenue. So let's click that. So when you click that, you realize this time it went to the values. It didn't go to the rows. It went to the values because we're dealing with values. Total rows, these are values. So this is how pivot table summarizes your data in just one click. And now it automatically, of course, will give you the total, the sum, and all that. So important to note, okay, these are numbers. We could try to arrange them and they look better. Okay, so that is the first step in summarizing your data. So we're able to tell that these millions and millions of revenue were generated per these regions. Okay, so we could also add a country. Let's just click country. Now when you click country, pivot tables will actually try to break down the total revenue by country, then by region. So an amazing thing about pivot tables is that you could actually spice these tables a little bit. You could format them and use the design, and then you could give them some light, some life. I like calling it life. Give them some life. You spice them up. Okay, let me remove the grid lines. So you already have a report. Just this is enough of a summary. You can actually generate some reports from this, and it's easier for you. Okay, so let's remove country. Okay, so for pivot tables, you can also edit. By default, normally when you go to pivot tables and you insert a pivot table, this will not be, the labels will actually be by default by pivot tables, by Excel rather. So you need to change these. Probably you need to change this to region. You need to change this for your tables and reports to look better. So automatically it will come with the Excel language, sum of the total. So you need to also deal with the language. It is editable. You can double click in there and you edit. Now, okay, so now you experience this because pivot table field already exists. So remember, these fields are already, these names are already existing in your data set. So that's why it's saying the pivot table field already exists. So you need to, in most cases, put a space somewhere or give it another name so it will allow to, it looks better. So that is the first step in pivot tables, and that is how amazing they can be. So from here you can generate graphs, you can generate a lot of things. You you can add any item you want here. But in today's lesson, we're just going on to go into that. We're just going to stop there for now. We're going to continue in our pivot series 2. Be sure to follow us and watch that video as well. So the last bit we're going to learn today is how to change this, the value, to deal with the values field settings. Now, you realize you could summarize your data according to either a sum or a count, an average, a maximum. There are very many functions that actually you could use. So by default, Excel tries to look at your data and tries to choose for you the sum or the count. It tries to actually tell you or show you what it thinks is the best option. But sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes you want to analyze things differently. For example, let's double click in there. You can either double click or you can go under the values field here, and then you go to field value settings. And now let's change this to count and see what happens. So we have changed it to count of total revenue. Now that's something completely different. What this has done, actually, it's counting. It's simply counting all the total revenue as individual items. What do I mean? So for example, in Asia, it's actually counting sales individually. It's not counting the total revenue. It's counting the individual rows that exist under Asia, that exist under Australia and Oceania. It's counting kind of orders. Each order, if there are orders, for example, they will have orders. It's counted, and actually, when you click here, you're able to just click anywhere like order. So you look at the count, the count here. It's around 500,000. So that is actually what is it's bringing. So it's telling you that Asia has those number of counts. Okay, Europe has those number of counts. So that may not give you what you want. So you can change that back to sum, and you have your sum of revenue. So I will thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sure that you've liked the video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you.